A very good day to you and welcome to the program. I want to speak to you today about identifying revival. What's the difference between revival and, say, a gospel outreach? I know all about gospel outreaches. I'm an evangelist. I've been preaching the gospel for 36 years. But I want to tell you, when revival strikes, it is totally different. I've also had the privilege of observing and been part of a revival, a men's revival in South Africa that started with 240 men and ended up with tens of thousands of men. No one knows what the final count was, but everywhere here, as far as the top of that mountain at the back, was just men. And who sent them? God sent them. And who spoke to them? God spoke to them. And what was the difference between that and a gospel event? Well, they came and they camped here. And a gospel event happens and it's beautiful. People get saved, they get born again. Oh, it's wonderful. But a revival is totally different. You see, you can't revive something that's dead. Do you understand? With a revival, you are reviving the church. People who have known Jesus, who have grown cold, or maybe they've been hurt, maybe they've left the church. I don't know what the reasons are. They get revived. When the church gets revived, that's revival. See, the difference between evangelism and revival is evangelism preaches the gospel to somebody who's never heard it before, and he gets born again. Revival is when the church gets going. And I want to speak to you about revival. Now, folks, how does revival start? Revival starts in one man's heart. One man's heart. There was a young man in Wales. His name was Evan Roberts. He was a student. He came from a mining family. His dad and his brothers were miners. He went to Bible college. He never even spent a year there. And he came home and he started to preach. And a revival broke out in Wales where something like 250,000 people came to Christ through his ministry. That's a revival. A revival starts in one man's heart. When a revival starts, normally there is a tremendous need. Okay, it's like a bushfire. A bushfire starts because there's been a drought. Everything is tinderbox dry. The wind starts to blow, and then either through a strike of lightning or somebody drops a match, and the whole countryside comes alight. Same thing with revival. There has to be a need, a tremendous emptiness. That's where we're at the moment, where people totally disregard the Lord, where there is absolutely no respect for Jesus Christ. That is the need. Then there has to be vigilant intercessory prayer. When people start praying, then God starts moving. And people pray only, unfortunately, in desperate occasions. That's the way it is. It's life. Then there's a mass repentance. Folks, that men's revival we had in this place was unbelievable. I can show you letters written by women who must have been in tears when they say, "Dear Uncle Angus, I'm just writing to tell you the husband that I fell in love with 20 years ago has come back home this weekend." Just a new romance in the home. Little girl, maybe 5, maybe a bit older, 10 years old, writing in that big, bold handwriting that these youngsters write in. "Dear Uncle Angus, thank you for giving me a new daddy." Now, obviously, Uncle Angus had nothing to do with it. It was Jesus. That is revival. Where people say that things have changed at work. People are now praying together and not shouting at each other. Where shift workers come up from the mines and before they go, the next shift goes down, they pray for the men that are going down instead of going to the pub. The pub goes dry, closes down. Folks, that is revival. May God bless you as you pray for revival for this country.
We trust that you have been blessed by today's message. For more information, please visit angusbuchan.com.